Hi, I'm Kristyn,
I'm Lexi.
and this will be a emotionally focused therapy session. Why did the client come to therapy?
So I, as a 30-year-old woman, am coming to therapy today because I've been in a relationship with a gentleman who is a year older than me for about a year, and I'm feeling like there's a little bit of distancing happening between us, and he just feels like he's really out there, and I can't reel him back in, and I really want that connection again.
Okay. And I'll be playing the role of the therapist, the counselor, emotionally focused. So we will begin.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. This is our second session meeting. Now we'll begin. Hi, Lexi. How are you?
I'm okay. You know what? We talked a little bit about it last week. I'm still feeling like my boyfriend is really distant, and I just, in the past couple of months, we've been talking about where our future is going, and my parents are really hard on me, and they want me to be married soon because I'm 30 years old, and it's important to them, and religiously it's really important to them as well. They want the whole big church wedding, and every time I bring it up, I feel like my boyfriend will either just not listen, or he'll even distance himself by going into the other room. So I just feel like we can't talk about those things, and I want to.
Well, first I want to notice your posture. You seem a little bit inverted.
Yeah.
What do you think that's about?
I think I'm just really getting down on myself because now he's starting to make me think that maybe we don't have the connection I first saw between us, or that we first felt, and it's making me feel a little bit like I'm by myself, and I'm feeling a little bit alone now in our relationship.
Okay. So walk me through this. So you want to talk about your future. How does that work? How does it start? Do you approach him?
I don't know. It's kind of like it comes up in fluid conversation. We'll be sitting down eating dinner, and I'll be talking about a wedding dress I saw online, or a ring that I saw, to drop those subtle hints, and that happens, and it's oop, dinner's over, and he'll leave. He'll go and read his book in the other room. It just leaves me there to think about it for myself.
And what do you feel when he leaves the room, when you try to bring up these conversations?
I feel like I'm being ignored, and I feel like I'm kind of, being put a wall in front of me, and he doesn't get to hear me, which again makes me feel really isolated from him. And we're in a relationship, so I shouldn't feel that way.
So you feel isolated when he distances himself from you? And what do you think his perspective of the situation is when you approach him with these ideas?
I think that he might be a little bit afraid of the future, and him doing that is maybe his way of telling me he's not ready to talk about those things. But I want so badly, I want that connection. I feel like I'm trying to reel him in and be with him, but at the same time, he's running too quickly ahead of me.
So I'm wondering, maybe, don't want to put words in your mouth, but if when these interactions occur, you feel like you're really trying to get closer to him, and he's then distancing himself and pulling away from you.
Yeah, that's definitely how it feels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think, what does that feel like? Having those words, you're trying to get closer, and then he's trying to be more distant.
It's just it's really exhausting. I feel exhausted when I try and do that. I put a lot of effort in trying to get close, and he so easily detaches from me. So all of that work kind of goes to nothing. So it's a little bit like I'm feeling a little hopeless also.
Feeling hopeless?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds really difficult.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay. So this week, what is something that you'd like to see happen? Something small that we could change with your interactions with him?
Well, I think that it would be nice if he could just sit there maybe for a couple minutes and just listen to what I have to say about our future. Or be able to engage in that conversation for just a couple minutes.
Yeah, that would be great. Do you think it would be good to have him come into a session with you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, he might be a little afraid too, but I think that it would be good for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about earlier you were saying that your family has these expectations that you get married because you're 30 and they want you to get married in a church, and it seems really important. How are you reacting to that? What do you think?
It makes me a little bit anxious because I want to please my parents, but I also, realistically looking at my life, don't know if I can do that right now, and I know maybe in the long run I might have that opportunity, but right now I just know it's not going to happen. So it's almost like I'm trying to avoid them, and
Why do you think they feel the way that they feel?
I think that they feel that way because that's how their parents raised them, and they got married after being together for a year, and so it's kind of like they're just passing it down onto me and my boyfriend. They really like him, so they might see potential in our relationship. So I guess they're kind of just like projecting their past onto me.
Yeah, maybe they have some expectations for you that you don't necessarily agree with. Mm-hmm. 1 second. Well, it looks like our time is almost up. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we end our session today?
No, I just really enjoyed, I think there were a lot of feelings that I didn't know I had towards this right now that it's our second session, so I'm a little bit more aware of those feelings.
Like feeling isolated and maybe hopeless?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of that with me today. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. All right, cut. Let's see.
All right.
Discussion. Sorry, Abby. All right. So, Lexi, why did we choose this theory?
So I think that this theory was chosen because it's obviously emotionally driven, but I think that a lot of the times as creative art therapists, we're trying to pull emotions out of our clients in various different ways. So being able to talk about emotions up front is a really beneficial learning experience for us. So.
And I like how it focuses on attachment styles. I think that's really important.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do we use this theory in the session? What do you think?
Well, my experience as being the client, a lot of the times, instead of going into the detail, you were like, so how does that make you feel? And what are those emotions that situation is provoking in you, which is a huge component of EFT. So we did that.
I try to pay attention to your body language and staying present in the session. And we also talked about that pattern or that cycle of being close and yet distant from the client's boyfriend.
Yeah.
So let's compare this theory to a person-centered approach. What do you think? I think that they're actually really similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, you use active listening and positive regard. I think that theory doesn't necessarily focus as much on the cycles of relationships and attachment, but
yeah, and I think that it's very much present-based, not going into any other moments except for what the client is experiencing in the present moment. So bringing it back to that person's experience.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, I agree. In terms of multicultural considerations, I think we had a little trouble, but we tried to incorporate the client's family's religious beliefs and expectations.
Yeah, exactly. I think that even that small little aspect was a touch on multiculturalism because you're honoring that that's an important part in the person's life and important in the parent's life in this situation. So, also drawing back to the parents' feelings. So that is honored by the therapist.
Yeah, and I think asking why those expectations existed and what the framework for the person's experience was important.
Exactly.
And lastly, how would you incorporate DMT? What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about the session and as a client, she's experiencing a lot of distance from her partner, so I'm seeing some type of DMT intervention that just works with what it feels like to move towards somebody and move away from somebody, and various ways of approaching that person using movement, and then like how to find connection once you join them, whether you use a prop for, you know, like something that's less intimidating, less confrontational, and, you know, do you benefit from that closeness or the distance, and really like putting that into a physical representation.
That's nice, yeah. I like that. For art therapy, I think I'd probably have the client draw whatever that like push-pull relationship is, like when she tries to get closer and he tries to pull away, if they could draw that like cycle for me. Right. And then maybe I'd have them do another drawing of like how they would like that to look versus how it actually looks.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we can like have goals and start moving towards whatever the client wants.
Right, and it might be easier for the client to like go after this, having something else to like project these feelings onto, rather than just like talking about it like this.
Yeah, but I think our cats are always welcome.
Yes, definitely.
All right, well, that's it.
Okay.